Oh, dear Christ. And we are live, I believe. Let me know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? If you can smell me, there's probably a problem. But I hope you can hear me. I hope you can see me. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So, how are you doing today? How's it all going? Welcome to Creative Ignition session number 5. And this is going to be an amazing session. Let me know if you are here. We are going to explore one of the most profound and simple tools I've ever come across, yet one of the most powerful without a shadow of a doubt. So welcome Paul, welcome Clint, welcome Karen. The early birds are on board. Let me check the hub. Who's on the hub? Let's have a look, have a look. Wow. It's a bright one, Good. Bex is here, fantastic. Good evening. So if you guys checked out Michelle's session earlier, amazing. Some of the crazy synchronicities. We shouldn't be surprised based on what was happening last night, that those keep turning up. Really this affirms that we are part of something very special together. This creative uprising movement and this creative ignition journey has, and is it's sparking something incredible. So thank you for being a part of it. And tonight, like I said, we've got a very special session and we're going to be joined by a very special guest. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one, people. Karen is here. Wonderful. How are you? Who is in the thing? Let's have a look. No one on the hub yet, but they'll be here. So, yeah, while we're waiting, little exercise like yesterday, we did the poisonous mushroom exercise to kind of while we waited for people to arrive. Post up in the comments. What are some things that you do or don't do that don't serve you? That you've tried almost everything to stop them or to start them, and nothing's working yet. So go ahead in the comments, post up. What are some things you do or don't do that don't serve you? And you've tried lots of different things to try and stop, and you don't quite know why you keep doing it. Morning, Cam, brother from another in Australia, up bright and early. It's a school day. So yeah, we my wife and I, kids, we went to the beach today, and in Cornwall, of course, the last month has just been mayhem as like holiday makers, and there's literally like 4 people on the beach. So yeah, it's a bit of a change. You can actually drive places without it taking you 18 hours, which is always cool. So Miranda is here. Hello, Michelle is here. Top session, Michelle. Good work. Loved it. All good. Cool. So yeah, we've got a few minutes. Just see if anyone else is going to pitch up. For those who've just arrived, what are some things you do or don't do that don't serve you? Post them up in the comments. Cool. Don't follow a plan for Paul. Okay, nice. I don't serve. I get angry. Okay, interesting. So what do you mean by that, Karen? And I'm actually going to have to look after my voice. I've got a little tickle. I don't sound all husky and sexy yet. That's still to come. But we're going to have to take care of this bad boy, because otherwise, by day 28 or 30, I'm going to be like, so if you want to live your gift in the world, here's what you need to do. I'm freaking tracheotomy live on one of the sessions. Tracheotomy, that's the throat thing, right? Cool. What was the question? The question was, while we wait for people to arrive, what are some things you do or don't do that don't serve you? And you've tried lots of things to try and stop doing them, but still you're either doing them or you're not doing them. So yeah, if something you do that doesn't serve you and something that you're not doing that would serve you, okay? So yeah, post up, guys. What are some of those things? Oh, yeah. How you liking the t-shirt? It's quite a bright one this evening. Quite a bright one. Lunar Festival, great festival up in the Midlands. Clint, eating shit food. Okay, nice. Well, not nice. Depends. It tastes nice, but it really doesn't help, does it? Cool, yeah, Cam. I hear you on that one, brother. Good at doing the stuff, but the finer details, the paperwork, bit of a challenge. Cool, nice. So Karen, yeah, good language. I love the language. Things piss you off in a heartbeat. So yeah, it's like that kind of. There's like a hair trigger on your kind of on the anger. I hear that. Big up Sinead, welcome. So we are exploring what are some things that you should do but don't, that would serve you, or things you do that don't serve you, and you've tried things to stop them. So Bex, lots of ideas, we don't know which ones to invest the time in. Awesome, definitely. Well, I can't say we've all been there. I have definitely been there. So I hear you on that, Bex, as well. Who is on the hub? I'm seeing we've got some more people on the hub. Let me just see. If you're on the hub, let me know you're here. Cool. Any more? All right, Sinead, same as Bex. Yeah, cool. Good. And yeah, like I say, so for those who have just arrived this evening, we're gonna find a super simple, super powerful model, so that we can start to understand what might be some of the reasons why we are either not doing these things or are doing these things. Okay, cool. No consistency. Cool. Procrastination. Absolutely. All right, Seb, using a calendar and writing things down. Okay, nice. So good. Let's spend more time creating, less time marketing. Okay. All right. Cool. It is 5 past. Let's crack on. So in this session, you know, some of you may have come across this phrase before. We are going to explore the archetypes. And does the sound keep dropping out, or is it just you? I don't know. Anyone else? Let me know. When I was watching Michelle's session earlier, it kind of froze a few times. So let me know if that's my Wi-Fi, or if the rest of you are hearing me loud and clear. Let me know, so you know, Clint can fix up and look sharp. So yeah, we're going to explore the archetypes. Okay, and those, you know, for those who've come across like Jungian psychology, they're well known from that. But essentially, these are ancient symbols, like living symbols, if you like, that help us to understand our inner world. Okay, and there are you know, there's, by some kind of categorizations, there's loads of different archetypes. Today we're going to focus just on 4. Okay, 4, and they are the king or queen, the warrior, the lover, and the magician. And you will find these archetypes represented as characters in some of your favorite movies, books. So of course, Gandalf, very famous magician, and I'm trying to think of kind of a good lover in movies and books. Like maybe Don Juan, and who else would be good? So good, King, Aragorn. If you've watched, is it Aragorn? I never know. Lord of the Rings. So you know, you'll be familiar with some of these, especially when I describe their traits to you. You're gonna be like, yeah, this is sounding familiar. But actually, what these 4 archetypes provide us with is a way of navigating and understanding what's going on for us. Oh, cool. And they're in the tarot, of course. Absolutely. So good. It's all coming together. It's almost as if someone planned this to be like, you know, meticulous way of layering all these sessions together. It would be great if that was the case. But what it is, you know, we are co-creating this together, and therefore these things sync together very nicely. So yeah, the kind of the presence of 4. So you've got obviously the 4 compass points, the 4 directions. You've got the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Yeah, just checking. So yeah, it's almost as if the universe has planned all of this. And so when we talk about these archetypes, we're talking about something that is very ancient, and which, like these new ways of being that we explored yesterday, are becoming more and more recognized as having huge value for us as a species. And we explored in session 3 the power of stories. And of course, these archetypes really are how we can understand our own story, because we have these archetypes within us, and they are essentially characters who help us to kind of go out and live our story. Okay, cool. Sinead's going to capture tomorrow. No worries at all. The fact that you are here in any way, shape, or form is perfect. So cool. So let me speak a bit about what these healthy archetypes look like. But before I do that, I want to welcome a very special guest. Now you're going to have to be sympathetic to her, because when she comes through that door, it's going to be like walking into some kind of light-based torture chamber. This special guest is my wife, Fan, and she's trained. She's a certified what's called shadow work coach. And what shadow work is this amazing work that was pioneered in the States and has come over to the UK. I mentioned that I'm in a weekly men's group called Band of Brothers, and that has drawn on shadow work techniques as well. So in our weekly meetings, we explore these archetypes. We use them in great depth to support each other. So it's actually very good that I'm sharing this session with you now, because tomorrow we've got our session, and I'm going to be able to, be clued up on what we're up to. So Mark's on the session. Denise, it's outstanding to see you guys. So yeah, when Fan walks in, she might be a bit like, oh dear God, it's so bright. So give her a huge round of applause, and give her a bit of time to acclimatize. And then I'm going to talk you through the archetypes, and Fan is just going to kind of interject with her expertise and like certified levels if there's anything that needs to be added, anything that I haven't kind of picked up on. Okay, so let us get our special guest. Did you hear me? Yes. Right. Did you hear me? As if my voice, hey, here's Fan, it is super bright, looking super beautiful. This is my wife. I get to spend the rest of my life with this lady.
Hello.
Sorry, a little bit of man humour there.
But it is quite hard not to squint.
No, you'll get used to it. Okay. Her pupils have kind of just shrunk to about the size of a Higgs boson particle. Cool. So, can you all hear Fan as well? Say hello to people.
Hi. Good evening.
Morning. So it's morning for Cam in Australia.
Good morning, Cameron.
All right, cool. So yeah, and listen, what Fan is trained in, this is some deep, right? So we're not fucking about here. This is some really significant work. It's neither cheap. She has spent a huge amount of money and a huge amount of time training in it. So this stuff that you guys are being privy to, it's not light. And we're going to only scratch the surface, because if we went any deeper, we need to kind of have you guys all in a room and be doing like some really deep processes. But what this session will give you is, like I say, is a map, is a way of navigating your own inner terrain. So is that an accurate description? Is that fair enough to say that?
Yes, it can be a map, exactly, yeah.
Cool. And for me, having this map has been like massive. It's given us a different language, a different way to communicate. It's helped me to realize when I'm being an absolute bellend sometimes, which is far more than I would like it to be. So yeah, but hopefully it makes me a better husband, better father. So it's all good. Cool, it does. She has to say that. She's standing in front of you guys. Cool. So let's do this. The 4 archetypes. And guys, if you've got your workbooks, this is the page. I think it's called Know Your Court. Right. And you've got warrior, lover, king, magician. If you're a female, you might want to cross out the king and put queen. But so yeah, and as I talk through these, and as Fan adds some finer details, then you might want to note down a few bits, so that you've got you're capturing this as a living document for yourselves. So we'll start with the king or queen.
Sovereign.
Sovereign. Good. A good kind of catch-all word.
Is that our baby?
Huh? Is that our baby? No, I think that's outside. So yeah,
right.
Here's also a little kind of caveat. If we hear baby crying, Fan's going to have to exit and feed. So fingers crossed that babies and children stay asleep. People outside. There's some drunks outside.
Right.
Cool. So let's do this. So the king or the sovereign, the queen, is, imagine that you are the sovereign, the king, the queen of your realm. Your realm being your life, and the sovereign is the one who can hold a bigger vision, the vision for the realm. And a key part of this is being able to hold both light and dark in balance. So we all have parts of us that we kind of prefer that they didn't exist, the stuff we maybe suppress or push away. And the king actually is, when you're in your kingly, sovereign, queenly place, you're actually accepting that you have this dark and you have this light, and you recognize that they actually serve you in a full way. The king is about, all of these archetypes have a kind of gateway emotion. The king's is joy. The king's is joy. So the king is one who, or queen, sovereign, like if I just use the word king, it's just the one I've been using most. So, forgive me, you'll have to degender it. And the sovereign energy is one of blessing as well. So it is joyous, it is playful, it is I guess a phrase to remember for the sovereign would be that leaders create leaders. So the sovereign is on their throne, blessing the members of their realm and helping to create more leaders who are going to add to the health of the realm overall. Is there anything else to add in, kind of?
Yeah, the king is also the place of vision. So the place where the king or the queen, the sovereign, if you like, holds vision for his people or her people. So vision for yourself. So on a personal level, that's where your vision realm is going to be. That's where you're going to see what is ahead, and you're able to see all around you and be able to hold all of that. That's where really the high point is. In fact, the 4 archetypes are on a map of directions. They'll be up high. The sovereign is up high north, and really overseeing, in a way, almost the rest of the archetypes, if you like. Not that it's the most important, but that is the position of the sovereign. It's like it's above, it's high up, and it's to do with very much the visionary realm as well.
Cool. So if the king is the one who's holding the vision, or the sovereign is the one who's holding the vision, we can then come to the warrior. The warrior is the one who goes out and executes on the vision that the king or the queen, the sovereign, has. The warrior is the one who gets done, right? Who takes action. And where the sovereign gateway emotion is joy, the warrior's gateway emotion actually is anger. But it is righteous anger that is used in a healthy way to get stuff done, to right wrongs, to challenge injustices. The warrior is all about establishing boundaries, about saying no, about saying, so here is the line. And if you cross that line, it's not necessarily there's going to be violent consequences, but there will be consequences, i.e. I may choose to disengage from this friendship, or I may choose to decide that you're not someone who I actually want to do business with. And particularly, it seems to be the case, and Fan, maybe you can put in on this, that particularly in maybe in the UK, but in a kind of Western, in the Western developed world, particularly America and England, we're not great at anger, at kind of expressing that in a healthy way. I guess you might see kind of 2 Italians talking in the street, and they're like, and they're fully engaged with their emotion. They're like pissed off, but it's in a kind of healthy way. They're like, they know they're just having a conversation, whereas here it's like, no, I'm fine. That kind of stiff upper lip really closed down.
They can
It closed down lots of it. Closed down our lover, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But definitely our warrior, it allowed us, anger became this thing. No, I can't say that I'm angry. I don't, So is there anything else to add in on the warrior?
Yeah, the big thing about the warrior element is boundaries. And it's very much the ability to say yes or no, like George referred to, the ability to know where you begin, to know where you end, very much your ability to exist and to be, to know that you are you and this is not you. And it's a very vital element of the entire, of the map. And George has mentioned before, the warrior is the one that gets things done. I'm sure we'll come on to how all these archetypes sort of loop together, because it might be worth mentioning that later. But certainly when it comes to the warrior, the more effective the king, the queen, the sovereign is, the more effective the warrior is, and vice versa. That means that if you have a warrior that struggles to get things done, or struggles with boundaries, or struggles with something to do with very much the warrior energy, it may be because you have a weakness in one of the other quarters, one of the other archetypes, or it may be because your warrior itself is actually wounded. So we'll talk about the wounds later on. But yes, so it's a very important action piece, if you like. It's almost like that's where it ends. It's in the warrior quarter. It's, that's where things are going to happen, or they're not going to happen.
Cool. So I guess if the king's vision isn't clear enough, then the warrior is not going to be able to take the action it needs to take. Is that accurate?
I was just reading Cameron's message about housework and being warrior.
Okay, cool. Yeah, warrior can show up in a lot of different ways. Trust me. Get that washing up done. Do the hoovering.
So yes, exactly. So Clint, is that
Yeah.
Clint? You ask, how does the king deal with the warrior? Well, actually, the king's favorite person is the warrior, because the warrior will be the one who executes on that vision. So for that reason, the warrior is absolutely massive to the king.
Cool. So now the warrior is fantastic. He gets stuff done for the king, for the queen. But another key element is the magician. The magician, and you can think of the magician as the advisor to the king. The magician is all about strategy, about how are things going to get done, about plans, about designing processes. Now the magician's gateway emotion, is fear.
Yeah.
Because fundamentally the magician, you've got the kind of advisor to the king, and the advisor to the king is going, right, how am I going to make sure I keep the king safe? That's as well as the magician is looking out for the king's best interests, trying to keep him safe. So he's scanning for fear, what's a danger, and he's also coming up with strategies. The magician is about intuition, creativity. Is self-knowledge in there around the magician, or is that more a warrior place?
No, absolutely. I mean, knowledge in general is the magician's quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, knowledge in general, self-knowledge, and not esoteric knowledge. Anything to do with the brain, anything to do with up there, the ability to work things out, to understand, is very, very magician.
Fantastic, cool.
See, Harry Singer's joined us.
Pick up, Harry. Welcome. So, guys, definitely let us know that this is landing for you, how this is landing, and it's likely that you'll be like, yes, I'm all of these things in certain areas, in certain times in my life, certain situations, but generally we will have a stronger quarter. So we'll talk about the lover, and then definitely once we've spoken about the 4 archetypes, post up what quarter you think you guys are strongest in. So the lover is the one who feels, who is sensitive, who is connected to the full range of human emotions, or a healthy lover certainly. They're very in touch with their bodies. So lover activities might be like dancing, might in fact be even any kind of working out, because it's all about getting in touch with your body, knowing your body. And the lover's gateway emotion is in fact grief. Because the lover understands that if we have access to grief, then and we allow ourselves to feel grief, well, then we can feel the whole range of human beings are capable of feeling. Is that, what else needs to be added in there? Because here's the thing, like, the lover is not a strong quarter of mine. I'm far more magician. We'll talk about this in a bit, but speak a bit more about the lover, because it's obviously your strength versus mine.
Well, the lover is very much the place where we are born, and it's very much the place where we also die. It's the place where we arrive in this world with this incredibly deep desire to bond and to connect. And that desire pretty much runs through everything we do. Even in those other 3 quarters, the lover runs through all of them. The lover is almost the encompassing archetype, if you like, that you'll find lover or lack of lover. You can find lover or lack of lover, in all of those archetypes. It runs through everything. In fact, in shadow work, we often say, it's at the end of the day, it's all about love, because no matter where we find the strength or the wound, it ends up somewhere along the line having been about love, and how love was not well received or well done, or wounded in some way, or how love was really present and therefore empowered a certain being. So yeah, very much love is about creating, it's about that bonding, creating that deep connection with others, which we all have because we are human, and that's what we do.
Nice. So guys, that's a kind of overview of the different archetypes. So go ahead and post up in the comments, what are, having heard those descriptions of health, the healthy archetypes, these archetypes when they're doing their thing, when they're healthy, what preference do you think you have? Certainly, you know, I'm magician is really where I'm at. The creativity element. I love strategy. Going, what if? I'm looking at how's the future going to pan out? All of this sort of stuff. I love that stuff. Designing courses. Or you know, that's all very magician stuff. So go ahead, post it. Where are you guys at? What's your kind of, what do you think your preference is? Are you a sovereign? And is it true to say that the sovereign typically doesn't come online, doesn't start really being active until maybe kind of late 30s, early 40s, typically?
You could say that. I think the sovereign can come on really early in life, in different kinds of way. You've all heard of amazing, inspirational young people, and who care for the world, who care for their family, who, you know. So I think it comes at all stages, but certainly when we come to maturity, the sovereign archetype comes more into the fore, because if you imagine that, let's say, if we follow the standardized way of living in the West, you are very much looked after until you leave school and you step into the world of having to earn your own bread, having to live your own life, basically. And I think that's why this kingly, this queen, this sovereign archetype tends to come online a bit later on, because actually we don't practice it as a general rule very much. In fact, it's not even expected of us. And I'm not sure whether that's right or wrong. In fact, it might well be wrong that we don't get in touch with that at an earlier age. Because by the time we are 18 or 20, if we had practiced that ability to see the vision beyond ourselves, beyond our own ego and our own person, we may actually be seeing a much different world. I think you've got a few.
So let's have a look at these comments. Where are people landing? So yeah, Cam, an individual can definitely move. You know, we are warrior, lover, magician, and king. Every moment of every day. So yeah, it's just, you know, typically we will have strength. You know, a one that's a stronger area. Cool. So Tiffany said, "My magician is normally at odds with my king." I can definitely resonate with that as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Okay. Cool. So yeah, Clint's warrior's battling his king. All right. I'm definitely familiar with that as well. Cool. Sometimes warrior, not enough boundaries. Yeah, I know, Michelle. We've talked about boundaries. Mainly lover, Miranda. Great. Man, I love this kind of self-knowledge that's there. Big up Ben, who's on the call. Sarit. It's amazing to see some of you guys. So we have these healthy archetypes, and this session though is all about, you know, why do we do these things that don't serve us? Like me personally, sugar. You know, don't send me out to buy, you know, pain au chocolat, because I'll come back with 19. And so, you know, I have this thing where it genuinely is an addiction. And so why is it that we do these things that, you know, Clint, you were speaking about eating shit food as well, right? Why do we do these things that don't serve us? And like for me personally, I'm big on my exercise, and I haven't exercised for about 10 days or so now, beyond my kind of pull-ups. Why is that? You know, I know that I should. I know that I get more energy. I know that I get more clarity and focus, all of these things. And it is because we all have wounds. We've all had traumatic experiences that have impacted the ability for us to access the fullness of these archetypes. So I want to speak a bit about what that actually means, and then we're going to look at what does it look like when you have a wound in your king, or a wound in your magician, your lover, your warrior. So wounding simply means you've had a deeply traumatic experience that caused you to take on certain beliefs about yourself in order to protect you, ultimately, in order to keep you safe. Is that an accurate kind of way of describing it?
Yeah, and it usually is the first time a trauma happens, and usually it is going to happen in childhood more often than not. Yeah.
So if that wound happens, what will happen is you'll essentially receive a message, whether spoken or implicit, about that traumatic incident. Okay, so, and it's a different message for each quarter. So in the king quarter, in the sovereign, the queen, if you receive a wound there, a traumatic experience there, the message you will receive ultimately is, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Okay. And of course that may then cause you further in life, later in life, you'll take on that belief, and you won't kind of be like, oh, well, I'm not good enough and I couldn't do this. So it will cause certain behaviors to play out later on in life. And there's two ways that the wounds will affect you. Either you will become too little of that archetype, or you'll become too much of that archetype. So if you get wounded in your king and you have too little king, you become what's called an abdicator, which means you actually absolve yourself of responsibility. So rather than stepping up and being the sovereign of your realm and looking after the health of the realm and its inhabitants, you abdicate responsibility. You say, well, it's like, don't choose me. You're in a classroom, maybe the teacher asks you a question. Yeah, don't choose me. Don't choose me. You don't want to take on any responsibility, and that might look like later in life, perhaps an absent father, a mother who leaves when things get stressful because they've had that wound that tells them they're not good enough, and so they think they're not good enough to take on the responsibility of raising a family, of raising a child. So that would be if you've got too little king as a result of the wound, you would become what's called an abdicator. Too much king, and you become a tyrant. You become a tyrant where rather than leaders creating leaders, which is the action of a healthy king, you stomp down any other kind of potential, anything healthy, anything positive that might threaten your significance as the big king. Okay, and you've probably met people who are abdicators. You've probably met people who are tyrants, and we are all abdicators and tyrants as well at various points. We haven't just had one wound in one quarter, in one archetype. They exist on a number of levels. So does that, let me know in the comments, does that sound familiar at any point? Maybe you've seen people who are abdicators, seen people who are tyrants. So the warrior, let's look at the warrior. The warrior, if the warrior gets a wound, the message the warrior will receive as a result of that traumatic experience is, you don't exist. You don't exist. So in order to keep that warrior part safe, the person safe, the wound will create a behavior that stops them, that lets them kind of shrink into the background. Okay, lets them shrink into the background. And in that sense, they might have too little warrior, and they might be called, therefore, what's called the pushover. The pushover, where you kind of you see it in an argument, they're like, I don't think this, and then yes, I agree, I agree with you. Secretly, they're like, I don't agree, you're totally wrong. But they, rather than actually kind of stand up for themselves and have clear boundaries and say no, they're a pushover, and they just kind of back away because they've got too little warrior. Okay, if so, on the other hand, the wound has caused someone to overcompensate and have too much warrior, well, that's when they become what's called the punisher. That's when they become a punisher. So what that may look like is, for say a father who didn't receive enough positive warrior affirmation, had a wound in their warrior, they may take it out on their child. They may be a punisher. So if the child does something, maybe they drop a plate, well, that child gets sent to bed without any dinner. It's kind of, it's punishing, and that very much, particularly you might find that, a tyrant king and a punisher warrior go together, where it's kind of, it's my way or the highway. And I'm right, you're totally wrong. There's no other questions asked, no discussion. And they might go out kind of seeking fights as well to kind of affirm that they do exist. It's like they're so afraid that they don't exist because that's the message they receive, that they go out and start fights just to prove that they do exist. So again, do those kind of those different wounded elements of the archetype, the pushover, oh yes, okay, no conflict. I don't do anger, because of course the warrior emotion is anger. I don't do anger versus the tyrant, too much anger. Stop, so let me know if that sounds familiar as well. Maybe there's times when you've been either of those. In the magician quarter, the magician archetype, if they receive a wound, the essential message there is, I'm evil or I'm bad. Okay, and as a result, they may do one of two things. They may take on one of two behaviors. One is where they become the dummy, if you like. You call it the dummy, and they're just like, rather than being all about knowledge and strategy and planning and process, you might ask them the question. They're like, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know anything. So they kind of, rather than step into that true magician role of planning and strategizing, processing, finding knowledge, they just kind of shut that entire side off from themselves and become the dummy. Okay. Now, if on the other hand, if they have too much magician, they overcompensate for that feeling of being evil or bad by being too much magician. They become the manipulator. And the manipulator is looking out for number one purely. It's like sensing any possible danger and working every situation so that it's advantageous to them. And you know, that could be in a relationship where, you know, they'll kind of manipulate situations so that they'll receive the love they need, but they'll do it in a very kind of, you know, underhanded way, like threatening to leave and then not leaving when the person says, it's okay, you know, I do love you, or something along those lines. So that would be a, you know, example of a manipulator. So let me just check some of these comments and then I'll speak about the lover. Cool. All right, nice. So yeah, this is definitely landing with some people. Fantastic. Cool, I'll come back to those in a minute. Let me just finish the kind of roundup. So then, if we get a wound in our lover, one of two things can happen, okay? And essentially the lover message of a wounded lover is, you're not lovable. And they take on the message, the belief that they're not lovable. And as a result, they might do one of two things. Too little, they might, you know, just shut off the lover side, too little lover. And that is where they're just numb. They don't feel anything. They're like, I don't do emotions. I don't feel anything. Or they just keep it in their head where it's safe with the magician, and I don't do anything. I don't do emotions. On the other hand, they might become, you know, rather than kind of numb and cold, they might become the addict. And remember, the lover is all about connection and feeling. And so an addict, whether it's, you know, taking drugs so they like feel this intense thing, or you might see people who've got too much lover and they're in your face, they're like in your personal space going, oh yeah, isn't it wonderful, they're touching you and all, because they've got too much lover. They've got no boundaries around their lover. We can welcome back our mother, you know, giving a great example of being a lover, not wounded anyways. So yeah, does that resonate as well? Someone who's just, they're so out there, they're like all moving their bodies, and I'm describing, you can tell the too much lover, yeah.
Yeah, and I heard you say, what was the wounding you said?
So if you see a wound in your lover,
yeah,
as in the message, I'm not lovable.
Yeah, well, actually, the message either, or really more to the point, I don't love right. That is actually the message. Is I don't love right. I don't know how to love, or I don't love well enough, or I don't love right. That's the message we tend to receive. Cool. I think he's crying again, isn't he? I might have to leave you.
Cool. All right. So what we will do is listen. You know, I'm sure this is, as you can see, this is some deep stuff, right? We're starting to pick at when now we start to understand the concept of wounding around our archetypes, and how, you know, imagine if you've got too much love, well then, you know, maybe you've got, like me, a sugar addiction. That's one of the ways that I feel stuff, because you know, I certainly have a wound in my lover. We probably have been wounded in all of our archetypes, but there'll be one core one that does define our behaviors. So for those of us who might struggle to kind of follow through with things, it could be one of two things. It could be that, you know, you've had a wound in your sovereign, in your king, and you're an abdicator. So the way of keeping safe, rather than seeing the vision through to its fullness, you kind of you stop halfway and you abdicate responsibility. And that may be where, you know, the technology's let you down, or there's some reason why you've had to kind of step away. Or it could be, if you're not following through on stuff, it could be that there's a wound in your warrior, and you know you're kind of, you're a pushover. So actually, if things get a bit tough, you're like, oh well, it's a bit too. It's probably not meant to be, is it? Because you know, if it was, it'd be easy. Well, actually, whereas a healthy warrior would be like, I'm going to get this. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to stop until I've got this done, right? So is that starting to ring a bell? Let me kind of explore some other kind of stumbling blocks, some other patterns that might play out. So from a magician point of view, if you know, I see this a lot, particularly in young people as well, who I work with, when they've had their kind of confidence, whether their confidence damaged, and this plays into a lot of the archetypes. But one of the ways it will show up is, rather than, you know, these are super intelligent young people I work with, super bright, so they, you know, generally they have a really strong magician, but they'll be there just, yeah, I don't know. You'll ask them a question, and you can ask them something as simple as what's 2 + 2, and they're like, I don't know, simply because it's so much safer for them to not know anything than it is for them to actually step up and say, hey, yeah, actually, I'm capable, I know this stuff. So guys, let me know, how's this landing? How's this landing with you? And what I do want to say is, I know that on the Creative Ignition journey, one of the commitments I made to you guys is that you have 24-hour email and phone support. And I'm going to extend that to Fan, my wife. So if you guys have any questions around this session, okay, around, you know, I wonder whether, you know, this is why this is playing out for me. Is it a warrior thing? Is it a lover thing? Then, you know, Fan will be available. She'll be perhaps a little less available. She might take a little moment longer to respond because she's got kids and I'm trying to do stuff. But I will make sure that if you guys have any questions about that, about what we're covering here, that Fan is available, because like I say, her level of expertise, like, I learn something every day about this. And I hope you can get the sense that this stuff is powerful, right? This stuff is powerful. And it's such a blessing that, you know, I get to spend my life with this woman and to be able to share stuff like this with you, because this would, once I had this map, these, you know, going, right, am I really accessing my warrior here? You know, what would my king do in this position? You know, having this map that I can actually, you know, start to examine different situations, different behaviors from different perspectives. It's been an incredible blessing, a real gift. So I want to make sure that if you guys have got questions about this, that they get answered by someone who is fully trained in this stuff. So let me just check some of the comments. Yeah, nice. So and what I can hear is, you know, you guys, it's landing with you guys. You're seeing old patterns. You're seeing. So yeah, cool. Tiffany identifies abdicators and tyrants. I do remember Ellie indeed. Cool. All right, nice. Clint, this is his favourite session so far. Let me just check the hub, see what Seb's up to over here. Oh, my iPad needs to cool down before you can use it. Okay, well, sadly I can't check the hub in that case. Seb, if you're watching, or Melody, if you're watching on the hub, Edwin, I know you watch on the hub. I can't get your comments right now because my iPad has decided it's overheating. We've got to love the technology. So guys, ping up any questions you've got now. If you've got them, you know, I should do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I'll pass them on to Fan, and she can, you know, because she's a member of the group as well, so she can post up in the group. If you are watching this and you're not a member of our Creative Uprising movement, of this group, then get on board. What have you been doing? And if you are already, you know, thank you so much. The synchronicities that are playing out, these little magic moments. We had one earlier with Clint. Michelle did a reading for him, one of the angel cards, and I think the first sentence was like, there is a, you know, there is an igniting of creativity. Insane. So what these little indicators tell us is that we are creating something very powerful together. So if this is the first time you're watching this, then this is the 30-day program. We are on day 5 now, and the aim being to support you to live your gifts more fully, to make an impact in the world and make an income from doing that. And the intention is to help you do 3 things. Number 1, connect with the fullness of your assets, the fullness of what you have to offer this world. Number 2, have the clarity, and I know Bex and a few others spoke about having that clarity to understand how to go forward. So connecting to your true assets, having the clarity to know how you can leverage those into an impact and an income, and finding the confidence to go out there and actually share and make sure they happen in the world. So that's the confidence, of course, to take action and get your warrior out there. Nice. So just seeing a few comments. This is live right now, Richard Moses. So I've got 2 brothers and sisters on this session who have got the same birthday as me, Bex and Richard. They're my March the 26th brothers and sisters, and we met working in a double glazing call center. I think I was the manager for a period, and then it got handed over to Richard, and it very swiftly went out of business after that, largely due to the fact that they had a racist salesman who didn't go and make appointments with Pakistani or Indian families. So when it went out of business, I was like, well, I'm really not going to weep about that. But yeah, and actually what this brings up is the fact that you never know how people are going to, you know, show up and impact your lives. You know, Bex, we met in a call center, and now Bex is on this, and the thing she said yesterday about, you know, she wanted a kind of a mentoring thing, and then I messaged her, and I had the freaking dream about messaging her. We never know. The person you meet tomorrow who, you know, bumps into you accidentally, you could choose to access your Punisher warrior and get really angry, or you could choose to access your king and go from joy and be like, hey, how can I help you become a leader? So, you know, incredible. It's so beautiful to see this happening. and to remind you that in all of what we are doing, whenever you go out into the world, whenever you interact online, you're not just speaking to whoever you're speaking with, you're speaking to every person they have connections with as well. And we have no idea where this journey will end. We only know where we're aiming to go. To an international play day, 200,000 groups around the world meeting like this along the shared intention of helping us live our gifts and to create this new story, to bring this new story to the world. So guys, let me just check the questions, and otherwise we're gonna knock on. Cam's going to school, outstanding. Yeah, I was Bex's boss. I was an outstanding boss. You can believe that. Cool. So guys, thank you so much. And tomorrow's session, we're going to build on what we've been doing today. Okay, we are going to use these different archetypes to help give us some fantastic clarity on something that's, a question you might have, something you want to know about. In the same way we did the soul letter, tomorrow we're going to use these archetypes to help us get some fantastic clarity on how we might go forward with a particular thing. So my invitation is, between now and the next session, have a think about, is there something that if you could get some clarity, or if you could kind of move beyond this limitation, would make a massive difference. Bring that with you to the session tomorrow. Okay. Any further questions? Post them up in the group. Oh yeah, that's all good. So post them up in the group. And if you haven't joined the group and would like to, give us a request. If you would like to invest in this program, you can pay whatever you want plus £1. That's the level of investment. And it helps us, because energetically, the more people are connected in that way, the more powerful what we do is. So I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It's such a pleasure. A quick round of applause for Fan, who is taking care of my family and of our family. And thank you for her expertise, her love, her knowledge. And if you have any questions for her, do post them up. Go well, brothers and sisters. I will see you tomorrow. One love.